Hey everybody, Coach Pete. I'm back. A little bit longer than I had wanted to, but life gets in the way. But I'm here. Another version of my vlog. Um, During my last one, we talked about arm safety when it comes to pitch counts and proper rest and how often young pitchers get abused without a thought from the coach or parent as to what kind of danger they're putting the pitcher in. Talked a lot about that. So I wanted to kind of close that out for now, at least, with two things. Um, First, if you Google or look up something called MLB Pitch Smart, it is a chart with pitch counts and days rest based on age. It's a guideline that I use for my pitchers and our Venom teams. It's one of the better ones out there. Um, should be using something. Everybody should be using something. But this is a real good one because the MLB does protect their pitchers. So they've got millions and millions of dollars invested. So why wouldn't they? So they come from a point of safety, so which is really good, and that's why I like it. The second thing that I'm going to leave you with is something that a post that uh, one of my top students, Joe Strem, sent me about Garrett Cole. For those that know baseball, Garrett Cole is a phenomenal, phenomenal young pitcher, one of the best in the majors. I was with the Astros. He'll be leaving the Astros. Where he signs, I don't know. I don't know. But be that as it may, the guy is awesome. Certainly in my top three of pitchers. But he found a post and he sent it to me, and it was actually a coach of his, and I'm actually going to read it right here. Um, it says, it was never important for him, being Garrett, to dominate some 4th of July tournament at 13 years old or 14 years old. If that didn't fit into the annual throwing program that we had, then he would just skip it. It was always about the big picture. We wanted him to be the best pitcher he could be at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and on. If that doesn't sum it up, nothing does. The coach's name is Zach Doan. I don't know when he had Garrett, but obviously he may have been his pitching coach through the whole time. I don't know. Didn't do any research on it. But that really sums up what I'm talking about. It is not about today. It is not about the next championship and the next win. It is about protecting the players and protecting the pitchers. That's our responsibility as coaches and parents. I'll say it, and I'll always say it. So I wanted to kind of close it out with that, and I actually posted that all over social media for those that didn't see it. You should find it. It's awesome. Um, I promised last time that we talk a little bit about arm care and safety in other ways besides pitch count and rest in season. Um, Pitch count and arm abuse is probably, in my mind, the number one cause of arm injury um, out there. It's to me, it's pitch count, rest, and bad mechanics, but which is something else. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's not just about in-season stuff. It's about off-season stuff as well. I want to touch upon off-season rest, meaning uh, no hard pitching off of a mound for an extended period of time, like throwing 35, 40, 45 pitches off a mound. Pitchers need rest. To easily put this in perspective, let's look at MLB players and pitchers, okay? Um, again, one thing that the major league owners do, coaches and general managers, is protect their pitchers because of the millions, perhaps billions of dollars that are put into their salaries. Um, Other than the teams that make the playoffs in the World Series, most pitchers are off November, December, January. They don't report to spring training until early mid-February, and they actually don't start throwing off a mound usually hard until the end of February, and then they ease their way in. So that's almost like 4 months off. Now, granted, young pitchers don't throw that much, but they're younger and their bodies are not built um, to handle that. So it's all in perspective. If young pitchers who throw a lot of pitches during their spring, summer, and fall seasons, if they're not getting, I mean, long stretches, months at a time off, then it's still abuse. The arm needs to rest and recover. The body needs to rest and recover. So why should we treat them at young ages any different than major league pitchers are treated? Again, I understand that they throw less, but some throw a lot. Between spring and summer and fall, the body needs time to rest. In other words, no hard throwing. Now, if all you play is spring ball or go into the beginning of summer, um, and you take time off at the end of summer and you take time off during the fall or whatever, and it adds up to 2 or 3 months or whatever, you're good, right? So you're getting that rest, gaps of rest work just as well. Um, so that begs the question to me that I've been asked, and it's a fair question. Why do I give pitching lessons during what should be off season? It's a valid question. Again, first and foremost, let me get this out of the way. All of my top pitchers, all of my, uh, mostly I'm going to say 13, 14 and up, who throw a lot of pitchers, who are pitchers that are really relied upon on their teams to throw a lot, get put into rest, off. I have several top pitchers that are shut down, have been shut down, will continue to be shut down until sometime in January, 3 months, 2.5, 3 months. It really depends on what kind of season they had, how much they pitched, so on and so forth. So I don't give lessons to a lot of these kids during this period of time. They stop and they rest. Other pitchers that don't pitch as much, say they only pitched in the spring or even go through the end of the July, they get time off, say in August, September, October, and they want to get back into it, November or December, whatever is fine. You're still getting proper rest. The bottom line is they get time off that they need. The body and the arm needs to recover. The rest time may not be as much because they don't pitch as much. So, I mean, I know my pitchers well. The bottom line is they all get rest. And others are just learning to pitch. So they really didn't pitch at all. So why not do it during the off season, November, October, November? So I just wanted to throw that out there because I have been asked that question. So every pitcher is different. Besides that, anyone who has ever watched me teach or give lessons to pitchers knows that during a 45-minute span, we don't pitch until the very end. And most of the time, it's no more than 15, 25 is like the absolute tops during off-season programs that we will throw hard. And even then, a lot of times, I don't make them go 100% because we're working on drills and we're working on specific body movements that create the mechanics. So, yeah, I don't get into a cage with a kid and make him throw for 45 minutes. I don't do it. Anybody that knows me knows that I don't. It's about body movements that create the mechanics. So that leaves us with what should pitchers do during the off season. This is another major point of scrutiny that has become yet another epidemic due to, as always, a severe lack of good information. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of the details on that right now, but I will tell you this. No, and I mean no, young player between the ages of 8 and probably 13 should have any kind of off-season throwing program where you're being asked to throw 5 to 7 days a week and all this other stuff. No, no. To take a lesson a week and do your drills, which are mostly with towels or without a throwing motion, is different. You don't give young kids like that a throwing program. They don't need it. They're too young. Um, I've been asked about strength training and speed and agility. Yeah, that's awesome. Do it. Absolutely. Build up the body, make them stronger. But there's no, they, that young of an age, you don't need a throwing program. Um, so what should they be doing? What should kids this age be doing? In my mind, play other sports. Basketball, play soccer, play hockey. Uh, you don't need to focus on one sport at such a young age. Plus the fact that what you gain is cross-functional strength and cross-functional skills. What that means is strength and skills that you get from other sports that cross over into baseball. Hockey is a perfect example. Um, Basketball too is a great example. Hand-eye coordination, body movements, quick movements, stuff like that. So at that young of an age, it's, to me, the bottom line is just play other sports. You want to take a lesson, some lessons, and work on your drills to keep your mechanics safe and in line. Perfect. Um, for those old enough to incorporate some kind of off-season throwing program, again, like I said, there is so much misinformation out there that it still puts the pitcher in danger. Um, so those that should have a throwing program or an off-season throwing program, to me, you should be 14 years old, basically in high school and up. Yes, that does make sense. Um, I don't want to get into the gory details of that this time. I may get into it more next time or down the road. But I'm going to leave you with these two comments. No one, and this is going to cause a lot of controversy, and I really don't care. No one should be throwing hard with a baseball 5 to 7 days a week. No one during the off season. It's insanity. Throwing a baseball over and over and over does not make you stronger. You're going to say you're wrong. No, I go by science. I go by biomechanics. It's scientifically proven. It does not make you stronger. As a matter of fact, what it does is wear your arm down. Okay? There's a million different things you can do to strengthen the arm that's not throwing. Okay? So keep that in the forefront. No one should be throwing a baseball 5 to 7 days a week in an off-season throwing program. You just shouldn't do it. And I don't care what anybody says. Because again, I rely on science, which is biomechanics. Guys that create off-season programs based on whatever they think, well, I don't go by whatever I think. I go by facts. I go by science, and you can't defy science. My other thing that I want to say is this, and this is one of my favorite new sayings as far as an off-season program for older pitchers. The legs and the core feed the beast. Say it again. The legs and the core feed the beast. So what should be your main focus of an off-season training program? Legs and core. Okay? Not constantly throwing a baseball. There's other things that you can do with your arm. Again, I don't want to get into that right now, but without your legs and without your core to create hip rotation, your mechanics are unsafe. Okay? And I said I had two statements, but I'm gonna give you one more that I heard someone say the other day, and I couldn't believe it. That kids complain that during the season that their arms are sore, and their arms are sore because they're not in shape. Their arm isn't in shape. No, that's not why. It's because their mechanics are bad. and they're relying just on their arm. Okay, and a lot of times it's pretty normal for arms to be sore after pitching, and if it continues to be sore, it's probably because they're being abused. So the arm gets sore from poor mechanics, meaning your body is not involved in your mechanics or not involved enough, and you're pitching too much, which goes back to the beginning, abuse. So just hold that thought. Again, there's just a lot of bad information out there, and it's time to get the right information out there. I'm going to close it with this. You want to have fun and you want to do something safe with throwing during the fall and the winter, pick up a football and play catch. A football. It builds arm strength. Why? Because it weighs way more than a baseball, right? It builds arm speed because you're throwing hard. It creates endurance because you're throwing it longer, right? It's strength, you're gaining endurance. And if you throw the football the exact same way that I teach you to throw a baseball with accuracy with your eyes, right, the burger, the trail leg, right, you're practicing part of your mechanics. And do your drills, right? Throw a football. There's your main training tool. Even as the young kids, 8, 10, 12 years, throw a football, right? Tom House said, if you can throw a perfect spiral with a football, you can pitch. And to take it a step further, some of Tom House's biggest clients are NFL quarterbacks. Number one is Drew Brees. Number two is Tom Brady. Philip Rivers, he worked with Eli Manning, and from what I just found out, this past offseason he worked with Carson Wentz. So have fun, my young pitchers. Have fun. Pick up a football. Go outside. Throw it. Throw it the same way you throw a baseball. That's good information. That's great information. As a matter of fact, my son doesn't know it yet, but his football is sitting in the spare room, and that's going to be his off-season training tool. Towel for his drills, and a football to throw, and that's it. So I leave you with that. I'll be back again soon. Coach Pete out.